All right, today is our deadline for assignment 7, our digital painting. And we've been working diligently on it. So we gathered reference. We can do either an animal from head to toe or a portrait from the shoulders up. We can stylize it in any way we want as long as it's digital painting, not digital coloring, which means there's no line art involved. And this is kind of what I got inspired by. And so if I open up my project, digital painting, the things I want you to know about it are largely about how you set up your file. So we open it up in Photoshop, and these are the steps I take. So the first thing is I start with a canvas that is large enough for printing. So I start with one that's 11 by 14 by 350 pixels per inch. As long as it's at least 8 by 10 by 300 pixels per inch, you're meeting the minimum qualifications. Then I put in my references, lots of different kind of photos. You can even composite your own reference like I did here. And then we sketched. And when we sketched, I started by sketching and rotoscoping, basically tracing right over my photo reference, and then brought that down, made it bigger, and then made some adjustments to it using warp. Then using that sketch, I started to fill in with what's called base color. And base color is basically just trying to fill everything underneath your image. And it can be helpful to see that on a background other than just white. So I put in a gray background and I put in a black background. And you can see I covered a lot with my base color. And now I'm working on the refined paint layer. And that starts to give the resource, the layers, the paint film, all a little bit more nuance. It doesn't look digital as much anymore. It can look like whatever kind of textures or type of paint you want to imitate. And basically I'm just using my paintbrush tool, and I'm using my custom brush that I created, and I'm using the brush settings that I set up, especially shape dynamics and texture, so that the brush moves like this. And I'm using it at about 70% opacity. Now you can also use any of the brushes that are in Photoshop, but if you'd like to remember how to make your own, I have those videos up from last week. So the other thing I like to do is to take my hero reference, the thing I'm looking at the most, and I like to open that up in preview off to the side here. And another tool that's helpful is one called the Navigator under Window. So I'm going to turn the Navigator on, because what happens, like what happened last class, is I spent a lot of time focused on the interesting parts with my refined painting. Now I want to bring that kind of interest to everything. And so the Navigator kind of reminds me of the big picture of what I'm trying to do. I'll shrink this reference down a little bit, tuck it in the corner. And how do we paint? Well, I use the paintbrush tool, and then I hold down Option to steal colors. Don't be afraid of color, even at this step. And then I'm painting at this kind of 70% opacity. I might take my flow down a little bit too. But this will mix your paints together, because you're not painting at full opacity. And with each stroke, you're defining it. I'm actually going to bring my flow up. I'm going to check my brush settings because it seems, it looks pretty good. But I might up the opacity just a little bit. Maybe shrink my size just a bit. So lots and lots of paint strokes. Trying to build up kind of a texture. And if this assignment is due today, but if we don't have it like fully finished to our satisfaction today, that's understandable. Because the point is, at this point in the semester, to get you introduced to this method in case you want to use it more for your final project. It's a fairly straightforward method. We've talked about it because you can add it on top of any other digital process, right? It's kind of like retouching, whether you're using photo compositing, whether you're doing 3D models, whether you're doing even vectors and layout, right? You could always digitally paint on top of it. And the combination of this refined paint layer with the base color layer, that gives us a fairly refined paint level, you know. And then if you want to make it photorealistic, it just takes a lot more time. Now my cat has a lot of these transitional little white hairs in the black coat. And instead of using straight black or white, it's really good to steal your color from your references, because they'll never be purely black or purely white. You'll kind of see they land on different places. And again, don't be afraid of color. You can throw some wild ones in there every once in a while. But you want to, even near the end of it, you want to keep attacking it with a lot of energy. And you're just layering up, layering up, layering up. So what does that look like? Looks like this. To get those kind of textures and those details. Just kind of depends what kind of finish you're going for. So I like having the navigator open. Let's have that open again. It's just this little, looks like a ship's captain's wheel. Just always gives you a picture of how much more you need to treat, how much more there is to go. Which edges should be softer. We talked a lot about how you blend color last class. You just got to get in there, get it set up, and start reacting to it. So I just keep my finger hovering over the Option key so I can steal colors whenever, and then I just stay on the brush tool. If you're doing a portrait, I have some videos from the afternoon class I've been doing where I'm doing a portrait in Photopea of a person, but it's basically the same techniques. Yeah, the more references you have, the more kind of freedom you have in how you define it. But even if you have a lot of references, you tend to have one hero reference, one thing that works kind of better than the others. Yeah, then that's your hero reference. You're going to work with that. Bless you. Yeah, I'm wearing a mask today, so my voice is going to sound a little muffled on these videos. It's because, yeah, I got a cold from my kids. So it's a fast cold, but it's clearly what it is. I know. But in it's the last 2 weeks of classes, the last 3 weeks of the semester. So they're important weeks. So we want to keep ourselves as healthy as we can, as well rested as we can. Like the end of an American Ninja Warrior course.
only sleeping in your front yard.
You got to keep your strength. Let's see. Now, to review some of the digital painting vocabulary, when you paint right over a photo reference, like when we did our sketching, like this, that's called rotoscoping. And that's an okay way to get started, but if you do the whole project rotoscoped, all the very best that your digital painting could be is whatever the photo reference is. And so it really kind of limits your potential on it. So I like to sketch from rotoscoping to get the proportions. But then I try to do everything else, more traditionally. You can find your own method. And then with digital painting, you also have the advantage that you don't have in traditional art, where you can warp and use image adjustments to adjust your sketch. And once I get these painting layers kind of to a place I'm happy with, then I can use adjustments to play with their color, to shift it around, play with their levels. But what takes a lot of time, and there's no substitute for, is just putting down a lot of brush strokes. We're just creating our own pixels directly using the brush tool. That's what digital painting is. And whether you're doing it in Photoshop like we are, or whether you're doing it in Procreate, or in Clip Studio, or in Paint Tool Sci, or in Photopea, or in GIMP, or in any of these kind of Photoshop clones, it takes time to build up that paint surface. Now, my refined painting is mostly focused on these transitional details. These places where one form edge breaks into another form. And I'm still trying to use quite a bit of color. But as my 70% brush blends with other layers, it's going to get more kind of average towards a middle tone. And you want to think, what kind of level of paint finish do you want? And I'm basing mine off of Rene Magritte. And kind of an interesting pastel-y, fairly realistic finish. But when you look up close, you can see the individual strokes. So I'm using a lot of hard edge strokes. If I want to soften it, there's a tool I can use called the smudge tool, which you'll find over the dodge and burn options. And the smudge tool you can set with a brush, but it pushes and pulls the pixels just at the edges. So it does a nice job of softening where you want to soften, just like blending chalk or pastel with your finger. So though I like to use just mostly the brush tool, a lot of people like to digitally paint quite a bit, especially if they like a smooth finish, with this smudge tool as well. And it will help mix your colors. So you can see that difference. I have every other layer locked, so I can only paint on the refined paint layer, because the most common mistake is to be painting on a layer you don't actually mean to be painting on. And that's a bummer, because then you have to redo that work and take the time to figure it out. So I definitely recommend locking your layers as you go. Now I'll come around once this